Hello, everyone. Great to have you with us. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is paying an official visit to China from June 4th to 8th. For an in-depth look at this visit, China Global Television Network initiated this dialogue where hopefully that journalists from CGTN and Hum News could share our views on China-Pakistan relations, their past achievements, and future prospects. I'm Wang Mengmang.
And I'm Zheng Shi alongside Maman today. We are pleased to be joined by Samir Abbas, senior journalist anchor from Hum News Pakistan, and Nizam Khan, senior journalist editor from Hum News English. Gentlemen, fantastic to have both of you joining us on our little dialogue today. Samir, let me first begin with you. Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif is paying an official visit to China. And man, is he an eloquent leader? He's going around talking about how Pakistan has a great deal to learn from China, China's model of development, China's model of success. So I'm just curious about people's reaction back home. How are Pakistani people back home viewing this trip by their Prime Minister?
Thank you so much, Josh and Mama, for having us from Pakistan on this very important visit, which Pakistani Prime Minister is paying at a time when budget of Pakistan has been a bit delayed for this important visit, and Prime Minister preferred this visit over the budget. It has been delayed for a few days. So this visit is very important because China, since the diplomatic relations started between China and Pakistan in 1951, China has had a pivotal position in Pakistan's foreign policy and foreign relations, and particularly the Chinese, basically the relationship with China and the relations with China, as I said, it has a center stage and it has been a constant in Pakistan's foreign policy. So recently, since the inception of the Belt and Road Initiative by the Chinese President Xi Jinping, the strategic partnership between China and Pakistan started for the past 15 years, and it is growing day by day. And during this visit, we are expecting that these relations grow further, and we move further into further cooperation. Particularly, the CPAC-2 is now starting, since we have achieved a lot during the CPAC-1, where a lot of work has been done in infrastructure and energy sector inside Pakistan, and now the sustainable development is the second phase of the CPAC, where Prime Minister of Pakistan Shehbaz Sharif is visiting China, and a number of MOUs have been signed for the bilateral cooperation. So the vision of the shared development and shared prosperity and growth by the Chinese President Xi Jinping and the Pakistani leadership, we hope that both countries they elevate the people who are basically who haven't seen development for the past few years, for the past few decades. They will have the shared and the the collective growth, the idea of the collective growth. This is the main purpose of this whole engagement, which we have seen from the Chinese leadership and the Pakistani leadership recently through the CPAC and the Belt and Road Initiative. So we hope this cooperation improves further for the betterment of the both countries.
Well, certainly, let me turn to Nizam here. We know that Prime Minister Sharif's visit has been making headlines in both our countries. There was in-depth coverage in our programs, and Zheng Shi and I really had the privilege to talk to you a couple of weeks ago to mark the anniversary of bilateral ties, and here we are again to continue this conversation. So now as the two sides look to promote the all-weather strategic cooperative partnership to a new level, what are some of the key areas of cooperation that Islamabad has a keen interest in?
Well, there are many areas in which Pakistan and China would like to cooperate. But at the forefront of everything is the economic cooperation as well as the strategic cooperation between the two neighbors. For the last 7 decades, China and Pakistan friendship and China and Pakistan diplomatic relationship has been a constant in the diplomatic relationships of, if you look at this region or if you look at any diplomatic relationships globally, one of the strongest partnership is between China and Pakistan. But it's not just limited to industrial and strategic cooperation. It is also extended to agricultural development. It has a big role to play in the energy sector of Pakistan. It has, in the early 2000s, only a few hundred students from Pakistan would be in China for cultural exchanges. But if you look at the numbers from 2020, it's above 7,000, which is a big number of students in China from Pakistan. So all of these dimensions are being covered, and at the forefront is the project that can be called as the flagship project between the two countries, that is the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And it's not just a road, or it's not just a motorway. It's a collection of many things. Pakistan is being enabled to no more rely on one source of the internet. There's been a internet backbone provided by China. It also includes, projects such as redeveloping and refocusing on the railways, on the airports, on the renewable energy, building dams, hydropower projects, and so many other areas. So it's not just, one or two things. It's a mix of everything, and especially at this time when the economic condition of Pakistan is a bit tricky. Pakistan looks forward to economic cooperation between the two countries as well, and everyone who's looking at this visit is hopeful that anything that comes out of it would be beneficial for both the countries.
Nizam, let me just follow up on that. Obviously, I take it that both of you have heard of this ironclad brotherhood between China and Pakistan. And it's not just true on a diplomatic level, it's also true on a people-to-people level. And it's not a label you can stick on any bilateral relationship overnight. This is a testament to the thick and thin that both sides have been through, to both sides offering a hand in natural disasters, to both sides standing firm for each other and supporting each other on the international stage here. So Nizam, let me get your take on where things stand between China and Pakistan at the moment. What do you think are the key elements that define this relationship at this moment?
The biggest element that defines this relationship is the trust between the two countries, and not just between the governments, also between the public. If you ask anyone out here in Pakistan who the truest friend of Pakistan is globally, their first answer would be China, because they look at everything. They look at the needs of Pakistan that have been met because of this relationship with China. Pakistan in this region is on equal grounds strategically, defense-wise, mostly because of the cooperation between China and Pakistan. In the energy sector, Pakistan was facing a huge crisis in the mid-2010s, which has now been resolved mostly due to the projects that were taken up by the Chinese government. So it's not just to say that it's just a diplomatic relationship. It's a peoples-to-people relationship. It's an all-weather tested friendship. If you look at the fleet of the Pakistan Air Force, the flagship fighter JF-17 was developed together. Pakistan has been now testing the flights of the J-10 as one of its, So it's not just one thing that defines this relationship. It's a bond of everything, and it's not limited to the governments and to the state dignitaries. It seeps down to the public and to the opinion generally in the street.
So there's really this extraordinary degree of trust between these two countries. And now, Samer, the impact of bilateral cooperation really goes beyond their borders. China and Pakistan are representative of many things, of developing countries and the global south, and they also work together under regional and international frameworks. From your professional observation, have you noticed changes in how their voices are being heard in a more broader context?
Well, exactly as Nizam stated earlier, that in Pakistan, whoever you ask who is the truest friend of Pakistanis, every Pakistani calls it China. So, in the broader context, if we speak about the global cooperation, there are a number of forums where Pakistan has been part with China, particularly on diplomatic front. We can see on a number of occasions China has helped Pakistan diplomatically at and vetoed a number of resolutions that were aimed against Pakistan by the Indian lobby, and those resolutions, those negative resolutions, were vetoed by China. And there are a number of international forums where Pakistan shares the vision of China, and Pakistan supports the vision of China. And other than that, as we spoke earlier, that it's not about development and few projects. It's about people-to-people contact, and it's about uh, and it's about a relationship built on the trust and the shared interest of both countries. Uh, because recently we have seen Pakistan has started its first mission. Pakistan launched its first mission to the moon, where the iCube has been sent with the help of China, and now the Pakistani iCube Q is revolving around the moon and sending the pictures from the moon. The mission is working successfully. Dispositive working successfully, and recently we are also working on the ParkSat 2 with the help of China. And in terms of defense cooperation, we see, as we said earlier, that we have a number of projects like GF-17 Thunder and the CGTN and other defense cooperation from China. We have seen recently that particularly the Pakistan Air Force has benefited a lot from the Chinese cooperation. And we have seen the highest number of the Pakistani trainers who are in the military training, who have been sent to China for the military training. And other than that, we see a number of Pakistani students that has uh, that has been increasing rapidly, particularly in the medical sector. We have seen the number of Pakistani students who are moving to China for education is increasing manifold over the number of years. And other than that, uh, particularly, we have another common interest in the region, that uh, after the Indian designs, nefarious designs in the region, Pakistan and China both have been badly affected by that. And in that particular perspective, uh, Pakistan has always supported China, and China has always been a big support to Pakistan. So the things are not based on a few things, rather, with every passing year, the interest between the two countries and the cooperation between the two countries is increasing manifold.
Nizam, I really enjoyed what you said just now about how this relationship is not just being steered by the two governments, it's actually being deeply rooted by the affection shown by each other from China and Pakistan. And it's very reciprocal because both countries, both peoples think very highly of each other. And it's not just me or Maman saying this. This has been shown by consistent polls conducted in both China and Pakistan. That being said, though, Nizam, high-level visits do play an important role here. They're critical because they get things done and they get more out of in-person meetings, in-person talks than just virtual talks. I would very much have this dialogue in person if conditions allowed, but would you like to see more official exchanges between China and Pakistan, like this official visit, like this state visit paid by the Prime Minister?
Well, of course, that was not to say that the official visits hold no importance. It was just to highlight how the foundation of the Chinese Pakistan friendship and the Chinese Pakistan alliance is strong. And that is also represented by the visits of the state dignitaries. For example, when President Xi visited Pakistan, it was the start of the China Pakistan economic corridor, which has seen a lot of development. And you're right that these visits see things done And these only happen when in the background a lot of work has been done by both the diplomatic corps of both countries. And so people look up to these visits to see what will be announced next, and what is there next for the mutual development and of this relationship, and also for especially in Pakistan, as Samar Abbas just said, that it's right when the budget is being presented and Pakistan is facing economic turmoil temporarily in the country. So people are looking up to these visits and what comes out of it. And these are also very important to carry on continuously and on a regular basis, which is also happening between Pakistan and China. It's not to say that this is the only visit, or this is the first visit, or this is going to be the last visit. This is one of the visits, and regardless of who is in power in Pakistan, regardless of what political party, regardless of who the prime minister is, who the president is, these visits have been a constant with China, and they are also going to remain constant in the future.
Nizam, let me just quickly follow up on what you just said and press you on the topic of the economic crisis that Pakistan is facing right now. Can you help our viewers understand how bad is the situation? I mean, the Prime Minister is leading a large business delegation this time to China. He is very down to earth about wanting to do more business with China. In what way could a closer relationship with China economically help with economic crisis or the turmoil you mentioned just now?
We have seen throughout history that aids and grants like these usually benefit a country in a short term, but in the longer term, it's always the trade agreements that benefit the economy of a country. Pakistan is looking forward to, if you look at the automotive sector, a lot of Chinese companies have now started to operate in Pakistan alongside Pakistani companies. Great Wall Motors is here. All of the big Chinese companies in the automotive sector are here. Pakistan's the price drop in solar panels and renewable energy, especially for the public, has only been made possible due to the trade agreements between China and Pakistan. And for Pakistan, China is different than any other country because we are next door neighbors. For us, the logistics costs are less, the transportation is easier, we have road connections, we have air connections. In the future, we might also have railway connections. So for Pakistan to have, all of these businesses developed together with the Chinese companies and Chinese partners, it is always going to be easier than to develop these corporations anywhere else.
Now, it seems that there's a new focus on the new growth areas, and the fact that Prime Minister Sharif chose Shenzhen, China's innovation hub, as the first leg of his stop sends a really clear message that innovation and green transition will mark the new phase of cooperation between the two countries. And what I want to say is that, Samar...
Yes, and there's one more thing to add to that.
Sure, go ahead.
There's one more thing to add to that, and that is that with China, Pakistan is more open to business because between China and Pakistan, there are no, hardships like sanctions, the fear of sanctions, or the fear of, cutting of trade ties, or the fear of businesses coming down. With China, Pakistan is always looking forward to having, trade cooperations and having business development together, because these fears do not exist between Pakistan and China of sanctions or of anything affecting the relationship between, for example, two private companies that are cooperating at a private level.
Mm-hmm. Well, having discussed the areas of cooperation and the will for cooperation, we have to say that, Samar, even the best kind of partnership can have its bumpy moments. China and Pakistan relations have been without challenges, and that's especially so in a volatile global geopolitical context. So, Samar, from your point of view, what kind of political will or wisdom did the two countries' leadership and the people of these two countries demonstrate to, keep their relations on track and also maintain a good momentum?
Well, whenever there is a government change in any country, its priorities, particularly on the diplomatic front, get changed. But in Pakistan, China has been a constant in Pakistan's foreign policy, as I stated earlier. So whichever political party comes in power, it always has a great, a great respect for China, and China has always been a great priority for all the political governments inside Pakistan. And recently, we have seen, as you stated earlier, that the Prime Minister uh, visit to Shenzhen was very important because we seek to have innovation inside the country. Pakistan recently has started a new initiative, the SIFC, the Special Investment Facilitation Council, under which we are expecting to pull huge investments inside Pakistan. And recently, under the umbrella of the SIFC, there are five cardinals of it, where energy, agriculture, mining, and IT departments are the main priorities where we want, where we are trying to pull investment, particularly from China and the Gulf region. And the successful model of China in agriculture sector is now being, I mean, is now being studied, and we are trying to replicate that inside Pakistan. Few Chinese companies have started investing in agriculture sector in Pakistan, like the MS Royal Group has started working inside Pakistan. They are working. They have a specialized lab for genetic improvement in buffalo and dairy farm in Lahore. Another Chinese enterprise, namely CMAC, has also launched large-scale farming and processing industry for chili crop. And another Chinese company which deals in seeds, Kingfa, has also started working in Pakistan, and they are particularly working for the cultivation practices for canola crop, which is another need for Pakistan. Uh, in agriculture, in mining, energy, and IT sectors, we are expecting huge investments inside Pakistan. Few Chinese companies have already shown interest, and they have started working inside Pakistan in these sectors, and we are expecting to have more. Other than that, we are also trying to equip the Pakistani companies for the modern farming, for that to have in Pakistan. That is why the Prime Minister is joined with a huge number of investors from Pakistan, a business delegation who want to learn the successful model of a development inside China, and that their innovation in different businesses, in different industries, particularly the agriculture. Recently, the idea, under the SIFC for an agriculture turnaround inside Pakistan. In that particular idea, in that particular direction, we are trying to have the innovative farming and the innovative ideas of farming inside Pakistan, the smart farming inside Pakistan. So that is why Pakistani Prime Minister went to Shenzhen first to have an idea of the technological advancement inside China that can be replicated inside Pakistan.
Nizam, you mentioned just now that trade with China and trade agreements with China are critical to developing and growing Pakistan's economy. And here are the facts. China has remained Pakistan's largest trade partner, largest source of imports, and second largest export destination for 8 consecutive years. When we talk about nurturing this trade relationship, where should we go? Are we talking about volume here? Are we talking about structure here? Where does the future go for this trade relationship?
This relationship can be developed in many ways. One of them is the transfer of technology to local companies in Pakistan. The other can be mutual agreements between Pakistani and Chinese companies to jointly start assembling or manufacturing things within Pakistan. They can be, logistical agreements. They can be, because Pakistan is also one of the transit routes to the Middle East, and for China, that is particularly a good thing because it gives it the shortest route to the Middle Eastern waters. That can be developed further because the Gwadar port was being developed just to meet those requirements and to put this relationship out globally. Another area could be, increasing the volume, not just increasing the volume of the trade, but also the volume of the products. For example, if you take Samar Abbas's discussion about agriculture, Pakistan is still stuck in the old methods of farming, whereas in China you can see that it has significantly revamped how the agriculture is seen. It's the use of drones, the use of satellite imagery, the use of crop health management, the use of modern technology in farming has significantly increased the yield of agricultural products in China. That could also be helpful if Pakistan is helped out in that sector. But it's not just limited to the agriculture sector and brick and mortar projects, artificial intelligence, all of these things that are coming up. Uh, I have knowledge of China developing new chips, in on its own, so not to rely on the manufacturers outside of China. And Pakistan also looks forward to assemble or manufacture smart products, IoT products, smartphones, all of these things in China, in Pakistan particularly. All of these areas of cooperation would help boost not just the economy of Pakistan, but also the already stable friendship between China and Pakistan, and it would, portray both as long-term trade partners as well as diplomatic friends.
Well, Samar, let's talk about energy because it was a big part of the first decade of CPEC and will certainly continue to be so in the foreseeable future. And we know that hydro, wind, nuclear power plants are being built across Pakistan to meet the energy needs. And Beijing and Islamabad both have ambitious goals to make clean energy a bigger part of their energy mix. Going down the road, what will be some of the weaknesses or strengths along the way? And will such endeavors really help address environmental concerns or criticisms from other parts of the world?
Exactly. Under the CPAC, the initial investment which we saw inside Pakistan was the infrastructure, and the second main area was the energy sector because Pakistan was facing huge energy crisis back in 2013 and 14, and that was a time when China came to help Pakistan under the CPAC, and we saw the the capacity of production in Pakistan went from 25,000 megawatt to 36,000 megawatt. It was a huge jump within 5 years, with the help of the Chinese companies and their investment in Pakistan. That was a major concern in Pakistan, that people were facing huge the blackouts, huge power outages with the help of these Chinese investments inside Pakistan, particularly into the energy sector. Pakistan got out of this crisis, the energy crisis, and now the focus is on the renewable energy, on the cheap energy, because those projects that were brought into Pakistan hurriedly just to cope up with the crisis were a bit costly and not environment friendly, particularly the coal-based projects and and the uh, the production units that are based on that run on the furnace oil. Environmentally, they are not. Uh, they are globally discouraged. So now Pakistan is focusing on the renewable energy and the climate friendly energy, environment friendly energy sources, particularly as Nizam mentioned earlier, that we are having cheapest solar projects inside Pakistan with the help of the Chinese investors and with the help of the Chinese technologies, and particularly in uh, nuclear based projects. China is again showing interest in to help Pakistan. So, with the help of these renewables and the cheap energy sources, cheap energy projects from China, this is the second phase where Pakistan is now moving from the coal-based projects and the furnace oil-based projects to the renewables and the environment-friendly energy projects, where China again is showing great interest to help Pakistan to get out of this crisis situation.
Samer, can we stay with you? Because I'd like to get your take also on technology cooperation between China and Pakistan. Nizam just now was talking about how China and Pakistan both have those great aspirations to develop smart technology, especially with China's aspiration for that technological independence. The reality on the ground is, Samer, it's developed economies have an upper hand in technological capabilities. It's difficult to implement the transfer of technology from developed to developing countries, but China and Pakistan, both developing countries, how do they cooperate better when it comes to technology and to facilitate the transfer of technology between the two?
Well, in that direction, yesterday I was reading the news that came from China during Pakistani Prime Minister's visit, that China has agreed to impart training of AI to 200,000 Pakistani students. It was a great news for me in Pakistan that 200,000 Pakistani students will be getting AI training from China. The number of Pakistani students, as I mentioned earlier, it is increasing every year in Pakistan, in China, and particularly in technology sector. We need to learn a lot. We need to get huge benefit from China and the technology transfer, particularly that should be the key area. And Pakistan is working in that direction to have two Chinese companies inside Pakistan to transfer the technology to Pakistan, to have their own production units inside Pakistan rather than exporting the finished products from China to Pakistan. Pakistan is now moving towards having the assembling and the production of those products inside Pakistan with the help of the Chinese companies, and that is happening. That is happening, and the few Chinese investors have agreed to the Pakistani government and Pakistani companies that they are showing interest for production to have their production units inside Pakistan, to move their production units inside Pakistan. And as Nizam mentioned earlier, particularly in the automotive sector, we have seen huge change in Pakistani automotive regime recently after the introduction of the Chinese vehicles inside Pakistan, like the Great Wall Motors is in Pakistan. The Chandan group is also in Pakistan, and few others are moving into Pakistan to produce their latest vehicles. And the best thing which we expect in Pakistan in near future is China will be producing its vehicles inside Pakistan and exporting from Pakistan to the other countries. We are expecting to have, and we recently heard about it, that there is a thought in few Chinese companies, they are considering to have their production units near Gwadar or inside Gwadar, and they will be exporting their vehicles from Pakistan to the other countries.
Well, Sarah Nizam, I want to talk about rocket science because I've been fascinated by China's space missions every step of the way, and the most recent one being the Chang'e 6. You know, Chang'e 6 has international payloads, and Pakistan's first lunar satellite, the iQQ, is a part of the international payloads on board the spacecraft. And it's really pretty amazing that last time we talked, the Chang'e 6 was on its way to the moon, and now it's getting back home with samples, first ever samples from the far side of the moon. So, are there future plans for the two countries to work together in space? Samar Nizam?
Well, I'm sure that this is the first step towards a larger journey, towards something that has just started, and with Pakistan particularly being comfortable with China, and China being comfortable with Pakistan to hold space missions together and to cooperate with each other, because Pakistan at this point does not have a launching pad or an area from where it can launch its own small or medium-sized satellites, and having this, uh, thought of China being the provider of such a facility in the absence of one in Pakistan, it's particularly encouraging for this area of technology and for this area of research for Pakistan, that it can rely on China for such events and for such occurrences. It's also not the last time something has been launched, because the first time it's a cube, but it might snowball into something much bigger, and particularly the world moving towards satellites based internet, and with the Western companies even in the public sector coming up, in the private sector coming up with satellite provision from of internet. Uh, the world is moving in such a direction that Pakistan and China would find it particularly important to be in that race, and not to be reliant on technology that can be taken away from it at any given point.
Samar, let me get this one to you. It's a perpetual question in every country in the world. Are space developments worth it? Worth the money, worth their time, worth all of the intellectual input? What about the general sentiment in Pakistan towards space development and cooperation with China in this regard? Because we know that the launch of Pakistan's first moon satellite and multi-mission communication satellite has been made possible with Chinese support. Are Pakistani people in support of such cooperation? Do they want more to come in the future?
Well, exactly. The people in Pakistan are very excited that with the help of China, Pakistan has been able to launch its first space mission. The IQQ was taken to the moon orbit with the help of China, and we in Pakistan expect uh, wo- um, further cooperation in this particular sector. Earlier, we used to say that, friend, that the friendship of China and in Pakistan is higher than the Himalayas and deeper than the oceans. But now it has gone to the heights of the moon, and we expect in future that it goes further and it is taken to another level. And particularly the idea of shared growth and shared prosperity by the Chinese president, not for the regions inside China, but for the whole region outside China. It's a great idea under the Belt and Road Initiative, where the Chinese president has envisioned this idea to have shared development across the region, not inside China. So Pakistan has been benefiting from CPAC, and we expect further enhancement in Pakistan's underdeveloped areas with the help of CPAC in its phase two, where sustainable growth is the main target in this second phase of CPAC. We hope this cooperation improves further in other sectors where it doesn't exist as yet.
Nizam and Samar, I want to move on to the last part of our dialogue today about educational exchanges. Both of you, of course, mentioning Pakistani students going to getting an education in China or potentially getting an education in China, especially in the fields of AI. Is China currently a desired destination of higher education for Pakistani students? Nizam, this one is for you.
Yes, because for Pakistani students to go to the West and the Western universities, there are two things that are particularly of concern, and above everything is the university fee, or the charges in the West are certainly higher than they have in China. That is about the students who want to go by themselves. But then there are exchange programs being conducted by Pakistan and China together, and those have helped brought a younger generation of Pakistanis together with the Chinese youth, who have created extremely good bonds and share, a particular knowledge base together. And it's, as I mentioned, from the early 2010s to the early 2020s, in just a decade, it has grown from just a few hundred students to over 7,000 students in 2020. And 4 years later, I don't have the numbers, but I'm sure it might have crossed 10,000
25,000.
students studying in China at one time,
25.
which is a big number for Pakistani students to be in China. Looking at the trends and looking at how the students that come back from China are looked at in Pakistan with superior knowledge and with you know all of the cutting edge technology and all of the research areas that are available in China to the Pakistani students, more and more students want to go to China to attend the universities, especially in relation to AI and the medicine field.
Well, besides education exchanges, there are certainly other aspects that could really connect the peoples of the two countries. For example, even though that China and Pakistan are not each other's popular tourism destinations just yet, but then there are plans to make that happen. For example, I read about tour guides from both countries trying to make reciprocal visits and trying to explore the possible tourism packages. And then also art exhibits, for example, from both countries arriving in key cities and, for example, Palace Museum in Beijing, to really bring these artifacts from ancient civilizations together for peoples of both countries to appreciate. And then food fair, for example, are also in the plan, in the making. Can you share with us some of the examples that have been really particularly successful in trying to connect the peoples and really bring their hearts and minds together?
I'll give you an example of the tribal areas in Pakistan, which has been development-wise a little slower in growth. And I met the elders of the tribes who have been on a exchange to China, on a cultural exchange to China, and they were particularly impressed by how China has developed its cities, China has developed its education sector, it has worked on its agriculture sector, and when they were back, their perspective of looking at China was totally different, and it considered the Chinese government and the Chinese people as people who they can work with. And if the sentiment in the tribal areas is such, the developed areas in Pakistan, the urban areas in Pakistan, there is a overwhelming majority that considers China as a partner, not just to look at for development and for government to government and business to business relationships, but also as a destination for tourists. Similarly, Pakistan has areas and destinations that are extremely tourist friendly, extremely beautiful, and it would want to develop, those areas such that the Chinese, tourists can be attracted there as well. Especially considering that we can have a bus route as well, we can have a road connection as well, and particularly when you look at the area that has the border of the Pakistan and China, and that connects the road, it's extremely beautiful on both sides. Other than that, we have in Pakistan we have what we call the Gandhara civilization, the ancient civilization, and the Buddhist sites, in Taxila, in Mohenjo-daro, in Swat, in all of the areas of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, that can also be, a touristic attraction, not just for China, but also for other countries in the region, and can be developed together with the Chinese companies and Chinese tour operators. There is no, cap to it. You can develop all these areas, screening movies together, developing the film industry, developing all these areas together. The you know there's no cap on what you can imagine can be done together.
Certainly not. Samer, let's end with you. Do you have anything else to add? What types of cultural exchanges would you like to see? And on a personal level, do you have any plans to visit China? Any assignments on the horizon, maybe?
Well, I will certainly sign up to one of those tours.
Yeah, definitely. China is a beautiful destination for all the tourists, and unfortunately, I would say in Pakistan, people don't have much knowledge about the tourist destinations and tourist areas, opportunities inside China. And I think same would be the situation inside China, that the people in China who, particularly the tourists they don't know much about the tourist resorts, tourist sites inside Pakistan. So this particular area, the tourism industry, uh, other than apart from lifting the people in those areas, it helps a lot in understanding the cultures of each other. Uh, so I think it's very important that the Chinese and Pakistani tourist operators they come closer and they start the mutual tourism destinations and the tourist plans. Other than that, we have recently seen a big development that the first time a Pakistani movie uh, uh, was aired in Chinese cinemas. That was a Pakistani movie made by the Hum Network, Hum Productions, Hum Films. It was premiered in Chinese cinemas. It's a great step towards understanding cultures of both the countries, and that could be a start of a bigger cooperation and a bigger relation between the two nations, not the two countries, not the two governments, but the two nations. The the exchanges in education sector which are already happening. And the number you were talking about earlier is now 25,000. Now 25,000 students are studying in China, and most of them belong to the medical field. And I know a number of doctors who have got medical education from China. They are serving in Pakistan very well. And in further cooperation, as we talked about earlier, we expect in near future is the cooperation uh, uh, enhancing and increasing in the space technology, the transfer of technology from China to Pakistan, and the uh, cultural exchanges, uh, tourist exchanges, and the art in drama uh, exhibition of the Pakistani dramas and films into China, and the Chinese dramas and films being premiered inside Pakistan. So these things will help a lot to understand the culture of each other and having people-to-people contact improving uh, rapidly.
Hey, Samra and Nizam, that responsibility lies with both of you. Both of you are journalists. It lies with you to have more people in Pakistan know that they can find a beautiful destination in this great neighbor of theirs called China.
Fascinating discussion, and I'm sure as Prime Minister Sharif is wrapping up his visit, our conversation as media professionals and as people of these two countries will certainly continue in the future.
And I would conclude that our little dialogue today constitutes a critical aspect of the media and cultural communication between our two countries. Mama and I only have the best wishes for our two countries and our two peoples. And I would like to quote the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, who said that hopefully with his trip in China this time, the relations will be strengthened and become higher than the Himalayas and deeper than the deepest oceans. Samar and Nizam, thank you so much for your expertise, analysis, and your time. We really appreciate it.
Great talking to you.